Course. So a snapshot of the MOC, we are the green section that you see in the upper left-hand corner. We have 9 project managers working out of the home office here in Menominee. That is actually where I work out of, and then we have satellite offices all over the rest of our area. There's 9 project managers. One of the unique things about the MOC is we all had to come from industry. So a lot of times when people see Stout, they think that we're faculty or we're professors. Part of being part of this program, one of the requirements is we all had to come from industry. So we have a diverse background set of talent in those 9 project managers. So we can help businesses with just about anything. In our 9 project manager group, we have 240 plus years of industry experience. My name is Bob Stanish. I am one of the project managers. I just came out of a 30-year stint. I'm a recovering manufacturing operations specialist. So glad to be part of the program. I just started a little over a year and a half ago, and it's great to be here. It's great to help folks realize improvements in their systems in our area. Our clients reported over $77.6 million of impacts in the last year, and that's really what the MOC strives for. We are a not-for-profit. The only way that we continue to be funded through our federal grant is to make impacts for our manufacturers in our area. So that's really what we strive for. When we see that $77.6 million, it really it really shows the magnitude of what we bring to our area. You see the WMEP in southeastern Wisconsin, that's where I grew up. They have 40 plus in their area, but you can see a lot of big manufacturers down there. So they report hundreds of millions in impacts. But yeah, if you're from that part of the state or think that our services could be used in that part of the state, the WMEP would be glad to help you with anything in the blue area. So our webinar series, what's the goal? It's to bring relevant solution providers and diverse users together in a forum to share needs and insights about all the challenges that manufacturing professionals face. Of course, here at the MOC, we have a diverse background, but we don't know everything. So anytime we can find a provider that adds on to the things that we do, we like to bring them in because again, we're all about making impacts. We're not about making a sale. So that's what this webinar series is all about. Finding suppliers that we've worked with in the past who've provided awesome results for the manufacturing professionals in our area that maybe we don't specialize in. So I will hand this off to Greg, but before we do that, we'd like to go down the list of attendees and just give us your name, your company, and what does this webinar series mean to you, or this presentation? What do you think when you think of getting useful data to drive results? Why are you here? And with that, um, think about some of these things. What will you need on your journey? Most people who come to these series have a need. They have something that isn't working right for them now. A vision, maybe. What's the goal in the future? Or a metric. You want the proof of my my solution has been realized and I'm reaching my goal. And who do you want to partner with? Greg is going to be here in a little, he's going to talk in a little bit. Maybe you need a project manager, a lean CI specialist. That's where the MOC starts to come in. So there's many firms and specialists. The MOC and and McFalls Tech can definitely blend those together to create a one-stop solution. Um, and with that, I will stop sharing, and Greg, please take it over.
All right, thank you very much. Let me share my screen here. All right, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity from UW-Stout giving me the chance to talk today about a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. In fact, I've structured a whole business around this topic of getting useful data to drive results in your business. Um, I think all the people on this call are probably either involved in or a part of a manufacturing organization, some kind of manufacturing company. I think that pretty much describes everyone on the call. So Because of that, I think it's a pretty easy scenario for to imagine what it is we're trying to solve here. So, if you will, imagine, if you will, oh, whoops, can't imagine just yet. There we go. Imagine, if you will, that you're a manufacturing company, and you've done a good job of setting up your company so that it's clean, it's organized, it's efficient. Your jobs are coming in, your jobs are going out. Equipment is well maintained, all of that stuff. That in and of itself is a huge milestone. It is difficult to run a manufacturing organization. It just is. It is low margins. It is high stress. Customers are difficult. The expectations are impossible. It can never be fast enough. It can never be good enough. Your competitors are everywhere. It seems like if you're working with the bigger companies, you have competitors from around the world that would love to have your business. It is a very competitive organization to be in. And so just being able to survive in a manufacturing environment is a huge step forward. That's a huge step up. I think the current numbers are that 90% of all manufacturing companies will fail in the first 3 years of business from the Small Business Administration, right? So if you made it that far, you're already well ahead of most of your of the businesses that try to work in this industry, because it's difficult, it's hard, and it takes discipline and good management to just survive in this sort of environment. Where data can help you is it can help you begin to thrive in this environment. I think in one of the comments I get a lot is, I don't want to have too much data because I don't want our managers sitting in front of computer screens managing the computer screen. That's a great comment. I thought I'd start off with it on this slide here, that data doesn't replace management. Data is not going to replace leadership responsibilities or management responsibilities. It doesn't alleviate you of those responsibilities. It just helps make that job a little bit easier and a little bit more effective. What do I mean by that? So what do I mean by that? When we talk about collecting data, what kind of data do I mean? Well, this picture is a good example. How many machines right now are up and how many machines are down? Well, you can glance around at the pictures and you can see some of the lights are green and some of the lights are red. And there's one, I think, right here where it's showing a red light. So maybe that machine's down. Why is that machine down? I see a setup cart. Is it in setup? Is it a problem? Is it in maintenance? Is it a changeover? How long has it been down? How long should it have been down? Do you know this information right now? If you're a manufacturing organization, you're a VP, you're an owner, you're a manager, even just an operator on the production floor. You're a machine operator, and your job is to run that machine. How often has that machine been up, and how often has that machine been down today? Do you know? And so that's a question for in the audience in the chat right now. It'd be great to know who can do this and who can't. Do you know right now, even while we're on this webinar, which machines are up and which machines are down? And do you care to know? Is this information you'd like to know? Yes, our machines are all running the way they're supposed to run. No, there's a machine right now that's down. Don't know why. Does it have a problem? I don't know. And so these are some of the data points that we're trying to figure out. And I think these are data points for me as I was part of a manufacturing facility for in Las Vegas. It kind of seems like a long time ago. I wanted to know. I wanted to know the earlier the better. That way, I could at least respond to. I could respond to the situations so that I wasn't looking at the end of the day wondering why we didn't get all our jobs done, wondering why our items didn't ship, or how much overtime are we going to need, and we're figuring that out at the end of the shift that we need more overtime. I want to know earlier than that, so I can make decisions earlier, so we can respond quicker to challenges that exist in production. Never had a perfect day of production yet. There's always issues. There's always problems. The earlier I can learn about those, the better. And the best way for me to learn about that is to have the machine talk to me. Have the machine tell me when it's up and when it's down, when it's good, when it's bad. That way I get the most reliable information possible, and I get it in real time. I can get information a lot quicker that way. And so I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed having that level of information, and we'll talk about more about setting up systems for how to manage that, so you're not so it becomes like a manageable thing. But to me, the more real time the data is, the better it is. And so some of the questions that I wanted to answer when I did manufacturing was which machines are currently running. That alone was a difficult challenge. It was hard to know which machines were currently up and which ones were currently down. And if they were down, why? How long have they been down? What is my current machine utilization or OEE calculation, however you want to calculate that for your business? Like, how do I, that OEE calculation can be hard to calculate. How do I make that calculate in real time and have that be an accurate calculation that we all can believe in? It's great when the machine can just talk to us and it can tell us what its OEE is or what its machine uptime is. When will the current job finish? So I got a job running in this it looks like in this machine here. When's it going to be finished? I don't know. It should be done today. Hopefully this week, maybe tomorrow, right? I'd like to have more precise information if I could for when that job is going to finish, because I got another job going in there. If I know when this job is going to finish, 1:15 p.m., I know when the next job I need to start getting it prepped for, make sure I have the materials, make sure I have the tools, make sure I have the mold, whatever I need for that job. All of the equipment I need for that job, get it all prepped up and ready to go, so I can externalize some of those setup activities. MOC can help with things like SMED reduction. I'm sure you've heard that term before, and that's part of that is externalizing some of those setup activities. It really helps to know when jobs are going to finish, so that I know when to get things prepared for the next job going in to try to minimize that setup time. So knowing when the current job will finish, I've always gotten a lot of useful information. I've always been able to do a lot of useful things by knowing that information. When was the last maintenance? How many problems have there been? Are we meeting our standards for productivity? I've done a lot with injection molding, and maybe the shot to shot time. I do a shot of the mold closes. It does a shot of plastic, then it opens, and that thing drops out. I do another one. How often are we cycling through that injection molding machine? If our standard is every 51 seconds, are we meeting that standard or not? The best way for me to get that information is have the machine tell me what its current cycle time is. Have the machine talk to me and tell me how many cycles have they done today. When's the last time I did a cycle? What is my cycle shot time? And is that what we're expecting it to be on our in our standards, right? If the shot time's taking longer than we would like, then we can start asking questions like why. Is our standard not right? Are we running the machine not as effectively as we could? We get to ask more detailed questions because we have more detailed information. And the last question on there has always been the most important for me is, are we going to miss a ship date? If I'm going to miss a ship date, I want to know that as early in the day as I can. That way I can respond quicker. I don't want to learn at the end of the day before the truck shows up, before the UPS or FedEx shows up, that this one's not going to make it on the UPS or FedEx truck. We didn't finish this one today, and it's like, or maybe order was 10 and we can only get 2 of them done, and now at the end of the day you're trying to, let's just ship what we have or ship a partial and we'll ship the remainder tomorrow and get with the customer. The worst time to learn about that situation is when it ships, when it's supposed to ship out. This order is not going to make it. The earlier I can learn that information, the earlier I can respond and adjust, so that we're not in a situation where we're missing shippers. So that missing ship date's always been a big deal for me. If we need to work overtime, I'd like to know that earlier. We had when we did this in Las Vegas, a manufacturing facility in Las Vegas, we got to the point where the shift ends. It starts at 7. It's a 7 to 3:30 shift. by 11 o'clock in the morning, we could give a pretty accurate estimate for overtime. The team really liked that. The people that work there liked that. They didn't like at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon being told to work in 2 hours of overtime. They like knowing that at 11 a.m. Our overtime is telling us now we need to work 35 minutes. It became we weren't working overtime unnecessarily, and I could tell you earlier in the day that we're going to need to work a little OT to get these orders done. The earlier we can do that, the better. This all starts with data. It all starts with having information, and for me, the best way to get the information is from the machine. Have the machine talk to me. Have it tell me what its current status is. This is part of this industry 4.0 push. It's industry's gone in waves. Industry 1.0 was all about just using mechanical power and mechanical leverage and using that to your advantage, right? The water power and steam power and getting more mechanization into the production system. And then Industry 2.0 was about using motors and electricity and assembly lines came in Industry 2.0. Industry 3.0 started having computers. And now instead of electricity, we have electronics. We have PLCs, we have computer systems, robotics, we have ERP software, all part of the Industry 3.0. Now we're in a new wave of manufacturing. We're in the next iteration of manufacturing excellence, and that is the network. That's having all these machines being able to talk to us and each other. So, if you're working in injection molding, for example, as I've worked a lot in that industry, right? And you got the injection molding thing, it closes, and then it opens, and the parts got to get removed. It might have this little robot that comes in and removes the parts out of the mold. Those machines have to talk to each other. So that's Industry 4.0 beginning to kick in there. That I need an input from the machine to tell the other machine when to go, and then I need input from that machine to the other one, tell the other one when to go. I need to network this equipment and have it talk to each other. A lot of the push now has been to talk to us, to the machine tell us when it's up and when it's down, and that means I need to be able to communicate with that machine on the network. So that I can, if I have 100 machines, all 100 of them can tell me what their status is all the time in real time, and that the power of being able to do that is incredible, right? The information we get from knowing the status of the machine it's invaluable information. I will say, Industry 4.0 is kind of the next wave of manufacturing, but it takes a little bit to get there. You've got to you can't just jump into networking all of your equipment and hoping that's going to solve all your problems. It's not a magic bullet, right? It's just the next step you're going to go to. The first steps are, first things first is just keeping a shop organized and disciplined, and this alone is difficult. It's so easy for workshops to become disorganized. It's easy for workshops to become, quite frankly, undisciplined. This is and I would argue, the engineering person in me would argue, this is the natural state that shops want to be in. If a shop was unmanaged for a period of time, it would become disorganized. It's that a tool goes, I'll put that tool away later, or I'll put that part away later, or I'll clean that later, or I'll do that later. And pretty soon it's always later. And pretty soon it looks like this. And I don't care what data we put into this system, it's not going to work that well. We need to clean this up first. And this is a significant challenge in every organization, is just staying organized and staying disciplined. It happens in manufacturing. It happens in assembly. In assembly environments, I'm working with one in Las Vegas that looks very similar to that picture in the lower left. They're asking for data, and I'm telling them, you've got more problems than just data. I think the organization and the discipline on the production floor, we've got to clean it up a little bit. You need a workplace where it's more consistent, it's more predictable, it's more reliable. Because right now, any data you get is just going to be it'll be inaccurate for one, But what's it going to tell you? It's going to tell you what you already know, that it's chaotic. And so um, this is and this happens in every organization I've been in. If it's not well managed, it becomes this chaotic situation because it's just easy. It's easy to put that box on the floor. It's easy to put that tool on the workbench and set it back where it goes, and pretty soon it turns into chaos. It happens everywhere. Chaos is everywhere. It has to get managed. It happens in the office too. In the office environment, it's probably honestly more pronounced in the offices. You go into those, and it's like, I have a system for that, or I know where that's supposed to go. If you're the leader of a manufacturing facility, and this is what your office looks like, what example are you setting for your facility? Right? Be the example, not the exception. Be organized in the office environment, and it is really really hard. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to keep an organized and disciplined workplace. And there are some companies out there that it's like they take pride in how disorganized it is. Ross, if you've ever been there, it's like it's chaos walking into there. There's comedians that talk about what a look, a bomb went off in this place, right? If this is how your organization looks, this we got to clean this up first, because the data is not going to matter much. All it's going to tell you is that it's chaotic, which you can already see and look at that. This to me is where UW-Stout has, they've got 9 project managers and brilliant resources to help out with this stuff, and to help create the systems and the processes that you're going to need to be able to not only get to a more organized workplace, but to be able to keep it that way so it doesn't backslide back into chaos, because it happens so easily. One facility I worked at in Las Vegas, we were clean, we were organized, we were efficient. It took a month for it to begin to fall into disarray. It was we had some work, some leadership changes, and priorities changed. And a month later, it had divulged into chaos. It takes work, it takes effort, and MOC can really help put the systems in place to have an efficient, a predictable, a reliable workplace. So I like what UW Stout does and MOC does. I think it's brilliant what they do. They'll help you create systems like these lean manufacturing systems, where it's organized, it's disciplined, it's well structured. These 5S programs. They can help you with value stream mapping. They can help you with on your entire lean journey. They can help you with that. And so that to me is the first step. Once you get to this point, you've already gotten to operational excellence. This is already an excellent way to run your facility. Now we're talking about just taking it to the next level. How do we take the next phase in manufacturing? We start taking that industry 4.0 journey, where we start having the machines talk to us. We've got a facility that runs well, it's well organized, it's a well-oiled machine, great. How do we make it run just a little bit better? How do I make it just a little bit easier to manage? And this is where we start talking about data. You're probably already doing this on some level. You're probably already tracking progress, right? If this is my manufacturing facility here, and this is ChatGPT that created that for me. I wasn't allowed to take a picture of a facility that was really well done. They were worried about competitors seeing it, so I was like, all right, it's fine. So I'll have ChatGPT do it for me. So this is but the point here is the same though. That we've done our work to make it a clean and organized facility. We're disciplined. It runs well, looks good. Fantastic. Now it becomes, from a productivity standpoint or from a production standpoint, how are we doing? Are we doing okay today or not? Am I meeting expectations or not? Am I going to ship or not? And so now I need to begin to start tracking data. And the most common way to do this, at least to get started, is with an hour by hour board, or a product status board, or in this case, a production analysis board. And it'll be hour by hour. What are my goals and what were my actuals? So I was planning to do 90. Did I do 90 or did I not do 90? And it's really that simple. And so Barb Smith, the leader in this area, every hour would tell quite frankly, whoever cares, not only just her and her team, but maybe the managers walking through the area and maybe the leaders of that building, what their hour was, and did I meet my hour or did I not meet my hour? And and every hour got to fill this out. And this is a great start. She's collecting data, Barb is, and she's writing it down by hand usually on a dry erase board or on a wall. And if you're using this now, this is a wonderful tool to use. This probably has taken you start to use data now to get even just a little bit better in your production area, because now I can respond to problems earlier, or I can see issues and we're going to ask questions like, I've had 2 tester failures. Why have I had 2 tester failures? How do I make sure I don't have more tester failures? How do I fix that problem so I'm not seeing more of those failures tomorrow? I get to begin to ask those kinds of questions. So this data really helps us out. The problem with this is that there's no doubt the data is important and valuable. The problem is collecting it. Barb every hour has to figure out how many did I do, and she's got an area to run. Figuring that out is challenging. Either she needs to count them, or it needs to be some counter on the machine, or quite frankly, she just guesses. And that happens a lot with these boards is we'll just guess. Usually the guess is pretty good, but it's not 100% accurate with the information. Or she gets busy, and at 8 o'clock she's busy fixing some issue or fixing some problem in the materials team, or who knows what she's doing, but she's not able to fill out this board at 8 o'clock. So now I have an empty spot at 8 o'clock. Or she's filling out 2 or 3 hours at a time at 10 o'clock. In other words, it's hard to get good, accurate information from this board. Valuable information, just hard to get. It would be a lot easier if the system or the process or the machine could just tell us this data. And Barb would worry more about making sure that she's responding to the information than she is trying to collect it and trying to maintain it. It can be stressful on the lead to try to maintain this information. I think you're ready for to take your data to the next level, or to have more capability of collecting data from your machines when you start getting really complex boards. When the boards start to get to be really difficult and complicated and difficult to maintain, I think you're ready to making data a little easier to collect and a little easier to use. There's no doubt if you have a board like this, you get useful insights from the information, but these boards can be stressful to put together. If I have a production facility that's here, I've got all these machines here, I want a board I can go to that summarizes this information for usually an hourly stand-up meeting or a management meeting every day, or however your meetings are structured. I want the information consolidated in an area where we can have a meaningful discussion. So that's why these boards are here, for these meaningful discussions. But getting this information is challenging. If I have to print these sheets out, from a printer, let's say a printer down here, is it on green paper? Is it on yellow paper? Is it on red paper? Which machine is it? What does the data say? It's difficult for someone to go and have to print all of this out every day and put it onto a board. And the minute I post it, it's out of date because the information changes in real time. What if we could just network these machines together? And I could have these machines be on the network. So now they all are like any computer. They have an IP address that we can just ask the machine, what is your status? And I can use that information to to generate these boards automatically. That to me is the next wave of manufacturing excellence. There's a concern that as we begin to network machines, that we'll begin to lose the impact that data has. That it's more impactful if the person writes it down by hand. I will tell you that I have not seen that. There's companies like Scout Systems that have devices that you can buy where you can then take your machine, you plug it into Scout, Scout puts it on the network, and now the machine's talking to us. And Scout has dashboards that come preloaded. And the conversations with these dashboards are enlightening. conversations we wouldn't have before. Before, the lead was just trying to figure out, what did we do last hour? Was the machine up or down? How many jobs did we do? How many units were done? Usually, just getting that data was difficult. Now we have information from the machine, and we can have meaningful conversations. I see your machine uptime was a little lower than what we'd expect. It was a 68%. Why was that? How can we have next hour be better than this? How can we have the next hour be better than last hour? How can we improve a little bit today so that we're not having the machine utilization be low all day? We can have more detailed, insightful conversations with the information, and we can do that in real time because the machines can talk to us. And Scout is one of the companies that can help us do that. They can help us get our machines on the network. Now you can, and it works with any machine, by the way. It doesn't matter if your machine's old or new. Doesn't matter what kind of machine it is. It can talk to us. If it has some motor, if it does some kind of work, we can communicate with it on some way. And this is what you pay Scout for, is for the right to do that. And for Scout systems, you pay a monthly fee to do that. But once you have their system, now the machine's talking to us in real time all the time. For me as an engineer, I like building my own solutions, right? And so I'm going to do the same thing that Scout does, but I'm going to make it myself because I like having I'm call me a control freak, but I like having that kind of control. So I've worked a lot with these Sumitomo machines, these injection molding machines. On the back of the machine, they have a board on the back of them where all of the inputs come in, a control board on the back of them, and we just need to tap off of a signal here that tells me every time a cycle is done. There's a specific signal on this particular machine that every time a cycle is done, it triggers it triggers that signal, and that's done mainly for automation reasons, so that robots and stuff can do their thing, or that you can trigger ERP software or whatever. But we're going to tap off that signal, use a tiny little PLC that's $100, and then we're going to use this other device to get that PLC on the network. Now this machine can talk to us. I know every time a cycle is done, every time. And because of this device up here, it's on the network, so I can access it. Now I can talk to this machine and have it tell, or it can talk to me and tell me every time a cycle is done. And the information from that single input is invaluable. I can tell you now on a given machine what the status of that job is. What work order are they on? What's the cycle time? In this case here, we're planning for 40. It's 41.8. The machine cycle time is telling me right now it's 41.8. I know how often a cycle is done, so I know how long it's taking between cycles. That single input gives me invaluable information. What it really gives me is I know the size of the job, I know where we are. It means I know when it's going to be done. So the next job for J3, whatever mold that's going to be, whatever part that's going to be, I can get it prepped up and ready to go. I can externalize some of that setup activity. So in 8 minutes, we're ready. We're ready when the machine's ready. I know what the next job is going to be. I know what the next work order is going to be. Job's done. We're in. Do your thing. Get the thing running. From last good piece of the last job to the first good piece of the next job, we minimize that time and we can maximize our machine utilization. These systems are invaluable for that sort of for minimizing wasteful activity and minimizing setups and knowing what's going to happen when things are going to happen. Now I know exactly 11:05 a.m. when the job's going to be done. And we use this system because I don't just have one machine. Maybe I have 8 of them. I have 8 of these injection molding machines. This input has multiple inputs. I only need one input for every machine. So this one little PLC can monitor 8 different injection molding machines. That's what we have here. And then this device puts it on the network. And all I do is have a simple application that says, give me the status of your machines, and puts it into a database. And now I can report on that and create these dashboards. This whole setup here is usually around 250 to $500, depending on what PLC you get. So a couple $100, you can begin to have your machines talk to you. One input off the machine, one little PLC, and just some way to get that on the network. As you start doing this, is an inexpensive way to do this, under $1,000 certainly. You can begin to have your machines talk to you, and the software is usually free. It's not software is to write software. You got to If you have software developers on your staff, the libraries out there are free to use now. It's never been easier to do this kind of work. It's never been simpler. These devices and stuff are designed to help you get the most information possible in real time. It's wonderful. As you begin to grow, some of the companies I work with, they have 800 machines, not just eight. So, here I can't do this with 800 machines. I would need 100 of these little PLCs. So we have more expensive PLCs that we can go to. Mitsubishi is the one that I like to go to, that can handle thousands of inputs. So if you have a big facility, you have a bigger PLC here, but the idea is exactly the same. We were basically going to the PLC and we're asking it for inputs, and then we create reports around those inputs. How often is the machine done? Is it up or is it down? How long has it been down? All of that information can be attained with usually just one or two inputs from the machine. It really is. It's not hard to put it together, to put these systems together. It's never been easier, and the information you get has never been better. In fact, you can put together dashboards that are super colorful, and it's really up to your imagination for how you for what you want to do here. Once I have the machines that can talk to us, the message that they want to tell us, or how you want to design these dashboards, is really up to you and your imagination. This one here is really quite nice. I like the way this looks here. Nice, easy information to understand. I can tell what machines are up and down. We can always get a little bit better. I'm sure as people are looking at this right now, even on this chat, can say, I could probably do this better. I could probably have it be a little more colorful, maybe a little more descriptive. Great. I think that once you get the machines talking to you, you'll find ways of having the information be better and better all the time. But just getting to this point is a huge step forward, and a huge milestone. The machine's talking to you in real time this way. Once you see this, you'll never go back. You'll never go back to having people write things by hand on dashboards, on the dry erase boards, because of our ability to respond to this information. We have more detailed conversations, and it's amazing how the problem solving activity that happens inside the facility the problem solving improves to a level that's really quite incredible. You'll have detailed information. You'll get to the 5 why things a lot easier. You'll be digging into problems more detailed than you ever have. And you can design these however you want, for whatever works well for your business and your team. If you have management dashboards on a higher level dashboards, you can do that. If you want to have monthly emails that shoot out, or weekly emails, or daily emails of what your production status was, you can do that. Once you have the data, you can do whatever you want to do, but you need the data first. And once you have the data, you can do incredible things with it. So I would say that in conclusion here, the first thing, if you're gonna go down this data road, first thing is think about the problem you're trying to solve. What problem is it you're trying to solve here? In manufacturing, usually that problem is pretty straightforward. It's we want machine utilization to be as we're not getting as much machine utilization as we'd like. We'd like to maximize our investments in these machines, right? And so that's usually a pretty straightforward problem in manufacturing. And then as you start collecting data, getting good data is better than more data. There's thousands of inputs in these machines. I don't need all of them. I just need data that tells me the information that I want to know, and think quality over quantity, right? So if I'm collecting data, I'd rather make sure I have really good data points, and usually like cycle time is really good data point to capture. And I just want to make sure I capture that really the input I'm getting from the machine is really good, and our system works well, and we're capturing that information accurately all the time. So I don't want to capture 1,000 data points if one will do the job. And usually that cycle time thing, it's amazing what we get from that one piece of information. As you start getting data, you'll start setting goals or objectives for yourself. Maybe your machine utilization is 45%, and you want to improve that. You want to set a new objective. Setting SMART goals makes a lot of sense for me. I think this would be something that's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So you'd set something like, I want machine utilization to be 75% on J3 by the end of next month. that's time-based, it's relevant, it's attainable, it's measurable, it's specific, it's a great goal. And so as you're setting goals, using a smart, the SMART acronym really helps with setting good goals that teams can really work towards. You want to keep it as simple as you can as you start adding more pieces of information. We had talked about things becoming disorganized over time in production. It happens here with data. It's really easy to get more and more data and more confusing dashboards. It takes a lot of work to make them simple and easy to understand. Where what data do we need and how do we report this in a way that is actionable and allows us to have more intelligence of what's happening on the in our production areas. So keeping it simple and easy to understand. It's actually harder than it sounds. It's very easy to clutter up a system and may have it where there's just, I'm sure you've used these before, where you've got data points all over the place and it's hard to tell what's going on. Keep it simple and keep it easy to understand. And it takes a lot of work to do that. Change as often as you need to. And last one is remove bias when possible. Once you start collecting data like this and have machines talk to you, inevitably you're going to have discussions about the data, right? Machine utilization is low. The machine's telling me that. The operator or the lead of that area is going to be like, well, let me tell you why. I didn't get the material or the machine, whatever. And you'll start having these debates. It's good that you're having those debates. That means you care about the information. Just make sure that as we're reporting the data, we remove as much bias as we can, so it becomes we're focused more on the problem than we are on the people. Don't feel like we're trying to pick on them, we're trying to beat on them, right? So the whole point of doing collecting data is for problem solving. Is to aid in problem solving. So focus on the problem and try to be as focused on the problem as you can be. Again, it's actually harder than it sounds. People take offense to it when you tell them the machine isn't running as well as we'd like. It's almost like we're offending them. We're not. We're just trying to solve. We're just trying to get a little bit better every day. Every day we want to be a little bit better than yesterday. So some actions to take. One is that shop floor cleanliness and organization and establishing good management practices. And as you do that, you'll begin to have more optimize your plant layouts and get things to flow inside your facility. UW-Stout is critical in this area. They have their 9 project managers they have. I work with a couple of them now. They're brilliant. They're really good. They've helped out with some of the companies that I work with in Wisconsin. The floors are easier. They're more well maintained. They're easier to manage. They run smoother and better than they were than before UW-Stout got involved. So UW-Stout helps with that first portion of it. And then when you're ready for data, you're collecting those hourly boards and you're ready to make those a little bit easier. And you start want to begin to have your equipment and your machines talk to you. That's where companies like myself can come in, where we can help out with getting those machines connected to a PLC and getting that on the network. So now the machines can talk to us. And in McFalls Tech, my company, we do that work and we write the software as well, the dashboards and systems that you'll see, so that you have actionable information in real time all the time. And it helps you with your problem solving and be able to run your shop floors more efficiently. We're trying to avoid small problems becoming big problems. The earlier we know, the earlier we can respond, and that way we're not looking at ourselves at the end of the day being like, what happened? We knew about the situation early. We were able to respond to it. We were able to adjust our work or make changes or fix problems or whatever we need to do to have our floors run nice and smooth all day. I've never had a perfect day yet, and so the earlier I get the information and the earlier and the more accurate it can be, the more effectively I can run my area. That's just my opinion. I'd like to get other people's thoughts on that, but for me, having real-time information coming from the machines as they're talking to me it's invaluable to have that kind of information. That's what we do at McFalls Tech. We'll start with one small area, and we'll work on and as we get one area to really work well, and we get dashboards you really like, and you're having meaningful conversations with your leads and your operators and your leadership staff. We'll start networking other areas and just work on improving every day, making every day better than the previous day. I'd like to thank UW-Stout for the opportunity to present. Hopefully, you got something out of this, where it's not hard getting your equipment to network your equipment and having it talk to you in real time all the time, and create dashboards that are insightful, that are meaningful, that help with problem solving. I hope you got a lot out of this webinar. If there's any questions that I can answer, I'd be glad to answer them now.
I put
So
my
I see.
questions in the chat. Yeah, I put my
Go,
questions in the chat.
okay, a question from the chat. What are the first steps to work at the MOC? Is there a cost? How available are the managers? And do they do the execution or heavy lifting? Or do they act more of a sounding board for the project? Great question. So the MOC is a not-for-profit. There is a fee for our services, but compared to other consulting firms that you might talk to, we are about a third or a half of the cost. And our other claim to fame is that we all had to come from industry. So I think everybody's had, some trainers come in. Maybe they weren't from industry, and when a problem comes up, well, the book says to do this. That's why one of the requirements is we have to come from industry. We have to be able to walk through real life scenarios with you. Um, and we do the facilitation. So, when it comes down to, say, a lean journey, like Greg pointed out, we'll be out there with your teams actually doing a 5S project. So yeah, we are the heavy lifters. We aren't just there to train and run. We call it dumping and running that you see from a lot of other uh people you might engage with. No, we stay there, we facilitate that. That is the only way we can get impacts, which is the only way that we get rated. So yeah, but we are the sounding board too. That comes with being the the requirement of having to have been in industry. So great question. Greg, listening to this again, of course, we went through our prep work and everything else, and a lot of this stuff is very relevant to me because my background is machining and metal stamping, so been through a lot of stuff like you've implemented. Have you found, because I can tell you I've found how beneficial these programs are to getting into your maintenance side of things, instead of becoming reactionary, you become preventative and then ultimately predicative with this type of information available. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, it's critical. I think it's a great point. We were doing it with a sheet metal company, and those machines are expensive and they're difficult to maintain. And if something breaks on a sheet metal like turret punch, it's expensive to fix that. You'd like to be able to make sure that your maintenance programs are effective and that you're not having unplanned downtime. You're not having unplanned downtime, right? Those it can be expensive, and the long lead time for some of those parts, right? So if we have the machine talking to us, we were able to figure out ways of, especially with this thing on the end with this little the lead screw on the end of it, tracking the current that's being used to drive that lead screw. And when that current was going a little higher than what we would expect, normally it has a nominal value of it's 3 amps or whatever. When that goes higher than expected, that means the motor to drive that is running harder than it should, and that's a good leading sign that that whole mechanism is either needing to be maintained, or we need to proactively have a maintenance a window to fix that machine. It wouldn't break unexpectedly. We would know predictively that situation was going to happen. So instead of a middle of a job or in the middle of a busy day, it's like, oh, the machine broke. It was we could predict that something is going to happen. If we don't address this now, it's going to be a problem later. Having the machine talk to us and tell us that kind of information is invaluable. To me, there's no other way to get that kind of information. It helps with maintenance programs on a to an incredible level. I will say this: as we start getting data and we start having machines talk to us, one of the benefits that I've personally seen is on the maintenance side, on the operation side. Everyone knows that everyone knows. We know if the machine's running okay or not. Everyone knows if the machine's running okay or not. It's the idea that having the data in the computer is not as effective. I haven't seen that. I've seen that people are more responsive to it because everyone knows that everyone knows, and it makes us more. I found it makes us more accountable to the information. We want the data to look good, and we want to respond to it. So if we're doing maintenance, we want to address that issue now because everyone knows. Everyone knows the machine's yelling at us right now that we need to make sure we address this before it becomes a serious problem. And I found that that having the data is just it creates a responsiveness that you just can't. It's hard to get that any other way.
Absolutely. And even on the hard tooling side of things, when you know how many cycles it's been through and you start mapping that out, that this
Yep.
tool predictively wears at 10,000, you
Yep.
replace it at 95. So you're not in the middle of a run. So yes, great. Thank you. Thank you. Because I've seen that too. And I just wanted to make sure that the other our participants know that that's one of the huge benefits of these systems. It's not just for hard KPIs and making sure we're on top of the production thing. The maintenance side of things of this type of data is critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for participating today. You'll have the information to contact both the MOC and Greg, so that we can get started on any of these projects. Please never hesitate to reach out with questions. Shoot us an email, give us a call. That's why we're here. We're both here to help you guys really succeed, because that's what we're both in the business for, is